Rain hammered against the hospital windows as Nenah Rodriguez pressed her hand against her swollen belly. Contractions ripped through her body every 3 minutes now. She gripped the bed rail, teeth clenched, willing herself to breathe through the pain. "You're doing great," the nurse said, checking the monitors. 8 centimeters. "Won't be long now," Nenah nodded, unable to speak. 2 years. She'd been alone for 2 years, carrying this secret, building a life without him. And now, on the night her daughter would finally enter the world, she felt his absence like a physical wound. The emergency department doors slammed open below. Someone was shouting orders. Through the pain-fogged haze, Nenah heard footsteps racing past her room. Dr. Hayes' voice cut through the chaos. "Oh, Wellington. What are you doing here?" Her blood turned to ice. "There's been an accident," a man's voice responded. Deep. Familiar, impossible. "My assistant was bringing documents." Her car flipped on the interstate. "Where is she?" Jasper Nenah's heart stopped. After everything, after the abandonment and the silence and the nights she'd cried herself to sleep, he was here. 20 feet away, separated only by a hospital wall. Another contraction seized her. She gasped, and the sound carried into the hallway. The voices stopped. Footsteps approached her door. "Tch, you can't go in there," a nurse protested, but the door swung open anyway. Jasper Wellington stood in the doorway. His expensive suit rain-soaked, his dark hair disheveled. His eyes locked onto hers, then dropped to her enormous belly. The color drained from his face. Nenah. She wanted to scream at him, to curse him, to demand where he'd been. But another contraction hit, stronger than before, and all that came out was a cry of pain. "Get out," she managed, between gasps. He didn't move. His gaze was fixed on her stomach, his expression shifting from shock to something she couldn't read. "How far along?" "I said get out." Dr. Hayes appeared behind Jasper, gently pulling him back. "Mr. Wellington, your assistant is in surgery. You need to wait in the family room." But Jasper's eyes never left Nenah's face. 8 months, he asked, his voice breaking. 9? The nurse tried to close the door. Jasper's hand shot out, stopping it. "Is it mine?" The question hung in the air like a blade. Nenah met his gaze, her own eyes blazing with fury and pain and something deeper. "You gave up the right to ask me anything the morning you disappeared." His face crumpled. "Nenah, I can explain." Too late. Another contraction. She screamed. The medical team surged forward, pushing Jasper out. The door slammed shut, but through the window in the door, Nenah could see him standing there, hands pressed against the glass, watching her with an expression of absolute devastation. And in that moment, despite everything, despite the abandonment and the lies and the 2 years of silence, a small, traitorous part of her heart whispered, "He came back." Then the pain swallowed her whole, and the world dissolved into nothing but the primal work of bringing life into the world. Outside the door, Jasper Wellington stood frozen, watching the woman he'd never stopped loving give birth to a child, didn't know existed. The cry of a newborn shattered the sterile silence. Jasper's legs nearly gave out. He pressed his forehead against the cold window, watching as nurses moved around Nenah's bed. He caught a glimpse of a tiny, squirming bundle being placed on her chest. A baby. His baby, Mr. Wellington. Dr. Hayes stood beside him, his expression unreadable. "Your assistant is out of surgery. Stable. You should go see her. I need to talk to Nenah. That's not a good idea right now. I don't care." Jasper turned to face the doctor. "I just found out I'm a father. I need answers." Dr. Hayes studied him for a long moment. "You hurt her badly, didn't you?" "I did what I had to do. That's what men always say." The doctor walked away. Jasper waited. Minutes stretched into an hour. Finally, the delivery room door opened. A nurse emerged carrying linens. "How is she?" Jasper asked. The nurse's expression was cold. "She's fine. The baby's healthy. 7 pounds, 3 ounces. Can I see them?" She said no. The words hit him like a physical blow.
"Oh, please."
"I just need 5 minutes." She said if you're still here when she wakes up, She'll have security remove you." The nurse started to walk away, then stopped. "You know what she said when her daughter was born?" "She said I did it alone." "Just like everything else." Jasper's chest tightened. "I can explain why I left. Can you explain why you never called? Never texted? Never checked if she was okay?" The nurse's voice dripped with contempt. "Men like you are all the same. You take what you want and disappear." She walked away before he could respond. Jasper stood in the empty hallway, rain still drumming against the windows. His phone buzzed. His lawyer, his board members, his assistant's family. Everyone wanting updates, answers, attention. But all he could think about was Nenah's face when she'd told him to leave. The pain in her eyes. The way she'd looked at him like he was a stranger. He made a decision. 2 hours later, Nenah woke to find her hospital room filled with flowers. Not the cheap grocery store kind, but rare orchids and peonies. The expensive arrangements that cost more than most people's rent. And sitting in the chair beside her bed, holding her sleeping daughter with surprising gentleness, was Jasper. "Get away from her." Nenah tried to sit up, but her body was weak from delivery. "Her name," Jasper said softly, not looking up from the baby's face. "What's her name?" "That's none of your business. She has my eyes." "Yes." His voice cracked. "She has my mother's nose. Put her down." Now, finally, he looked at her. His eyes were red, raw. "I never knew, Nenah. I swear to God, I never knew you were pregnant. Because you left. Because you vanished like I was nothing? I left because I had to protect you." The words exploded out of him. Silence crashed down between them. Nenah stared at him. "What?" Jasper carefully placed the baby in the bassinet, then turned to face her fully. His hands were shaking. "The morning I left, I got a call from the FBI. They'd been investigating my business partner, Marcus Chen, for months. Money laundering, fraud, connections to people who hurt anyone who got in their way." He ran his hand through his hair. "Marcus found out I was cooperating with the investigation. He threatened you, Nenah. He sent me photos of you leaving work, walking to your car, asleep in your apartment." Nenah's blood ran cold. He said if I didn't back off, he'd make you disappear. "So I did the only thing I could think of." Jasper's voice dropped to a whisper. "I cut you out of my life completely. Made it look like you meant nothing to me. I thought if he believed you were just another woman I'd gotten bored with, he'd leave you alone. You're lying. I'm not." Pulled out his phone, scrolling to a folder of saved emails. Police reports. Threatening messages. Photos of Nenah from 2 years ago. She felt sick. Investigation wrapped up 6 months ago. Marcus is in federal prison. But by then, I figured you'd moved on. Built a new life. I thought it was better to let you go than drag you back into my mess." His eyes met hers. "I never stopped thinking about you. I never stopped loving you. You should have told me." Tears streamed down Nenah's face. "You should have trusted me, I know. I was pregnant and alone and terrified, and you were out there thinking you were protecting me by breaking my heart. I know. You missed everything. The ultrasounds. The first kick. Every single moment. I know." Jasper's voice shattered, "And I can never get that back. But I'm here now, Nenah, if you'll let me. I want to be here. For both of you." Nenah looked at her daughter, sleeping peacefully, unaware of the storm around her. "Her name is Maya," she whispered. "Maya Grace Rodriguez. It's beautiful. You don't get to be her father just because you showed up, Jasper. You don't get to waltz back in after 2 years and play house. I know that too. Then what do you want?" He moved closer, dropping to his knees beside her bed. "I want a chance to prove I'm not the man who left. I want to earn your trust again. I want to be the father Maya deserves and the man you needed me to be 2 years ago." Nenah closed her eyes. Every instinct screamed at her to say no, to protect herself, to keep him away from the life she'd built from the ashes of his abandonment. But when she opened her eyes and saw the raw, desperate hope in his face, she felt something shift inside her. "One chance," she said. "You get one chance. And if you hurt us, if you disappear again, I will make sure you never see either of us again. Do you understand? I understand. Good, now get out. I need to rest. Jasper stood slowly. At the door, he paused. Thank you, Nenah, for Maya, for this chance. For not giving up on me completely. After he left, Nenah picked up her daughter and held her close, breathing in that sweet newborn smell. Your father's a complicated man, baby girl, she whispered. Let's hope he's worth the trouble. In the hallway, Jasper leaned against the wall and finally let himself cry. 3 weeks later, Jasper stood in Nenah's modest apartment, holding Maya while Nenah showered. The space was nothing like his penthouse, tiny and cluttered with baby supplies. But it felt more like home than anywhere he'd lived. You're good with her, Nenah said. Emerging with damp hair, I've been reading books. Watching videos, he smiled down at Maya. Turns out there's a lot to learn. Nenah watched them together, her heart doing that dangerous thing where it started to believe again. Over the past weeks, Jasper had shown up every single day. He'd changed diapers, walked Maya when she cried, brought groceries, and listened when Nenah needed to talk. He'd been perfect. Too perfect. Jasper, we need to talk about the future, she said. I agree. He carefully placed Maya in her bassinet. I want us to be a family, Nenah. A real family. That's not something you can just decide. I know. But I love you. I never stopped. And I love Maya more than I thought it was possible to love anyone. He moved closer. Move in with me. Both of you. Let me take care of you properly. I don't need you to take care of me. No, you don't need me. But maybe I need you. His hand cupped her face. Maybe I've been half alive for 2 years, and being with you again is the only thing that makes me feel whole. Nenah's breath caught. She'd tried so hard to keep her walls up to protect herself. But looking into his eyes, feeling his touch, remembering what they'd once been, those walls started to crumble. Jasper. He kissed her. Soft at first, then deeper, urgent, like a man who'd been drowning and finally found air. Nenah melted into him, her hands fisting in his shirt. 2 years of loneliness and longing pouring into that kiss. When they broke apart, both were breathing hard. Is that a yes? He whispered against her lips. It's a maybe, he laughed, and the sound filled the small apartment with warmth. That night after Jasper left, Nenah's phone rang. Unknown number. Hello, Ms. Rodriguez? This is Catherine Lee from the New York Times business section. Nenah's stomach dropped. How did you get this number? I'm working on a story about Jasper Wellington. I heard you two have recently reconnected. No comment. I also heard he has a daughter. One he didn't know about until a few weeks ago. Nenah's hand tightened on the phone. I have nothing to say to you. It's fine. But I thought you should know something about the man you're letting into your life. I'm hanging up now. The FBI investigation that supposedly forced Jasper to leave you? It ended 18 months ago. He's been free to contact you for over a year. The words hit like a sledgehammer. You're lying. Check the public records. The case was closed in April of last year. Marcus Chen's sentencing was finalized last June. I'm sorry. But Jasper Wellington had plenty of time to come back to you. He chose not to. Nenah's world tilted. Why are you telling me this? Because I'm a journalist, but I'm also a woman, and I think you deserve to know the truth. Catherine paused. There's something else. Jasper got engaged 8 months ago to Victoria Ashford, the daughter of one of his investors. It was in all the society pages. The engagement ended abruptly 3 weeks ago. When Jasper had shown up at the hospital, thank you for the information, Nenah said, numbly. After hanging up, she stood frozen in her tiny living room. Maya slept peacefully, unaware that her mother's world was shattering again. Nenah grabbed her laptop. It took 5 minutes to confirm everything Catherine had said. The FBI case closure, Marcus Chen's sentencing. And there, in glossy photos from Manhattan Society events, was Jasper with his arm around a blonde woman, both of them smiling for cameras. The engagement announcement was dated 8 months ago. The cancellation notice, 3 weeks. Her phone buzzed. Jasper, can't stop thinking about that kiss. Can I take you and Maya to brunch tomorrow? Nenah stared at the message. Then, at the photos on her screen. Then at her sleeping daughter. She called him. "Hey, I wasn't expecting to hear from you tonight," he answered, his voice warm. "Everything okay? When did your engagement end?" Silence. "Nenah, answer the question." "Jasper." More silence. Then quietly, "How did you find out?" "So it's true," she laughed bitterly. "You were engaged. You were planning to marry someone else? And then what? You saw me at the hospital and decided I was a better option? It wasn't like that. Then what was it like? Explain to me how you were free to contact me for 18 months but chose not to until you accidentally ran into me while I was in labor." "I was scared." His voice rose. "I was terrified that you'd moved on, that you'd hate me, that I'd destroyed any chance we had. So you got engaged to someone else instead." Victoria was safe. She didn't make me feel anything. I thought maybe if I forced myself to move forward, I could forget you. And when did you realize you couldn't? "The moment I saw you," his voice cracked. "The moment I saw you in that hospital bed, I knew I'd made the biggest mistake of my life. I broke off the engagement that night. Nenah, I walked away from Victoria and told her the truth, that I'd never stop loving you. You should have told me." Nenah was shouting now, tears streaming down her face. "You should have told me you were engaged. You should have told me you'd been free for 18 months. Instead, you let me believe your pretty story about protecting me. I did protect you. Marcus Chen was dangerous. But he's been in prison for over a year, Jasper. You had 18 months to find me, to explain, to be part of Maya's life. Instead, you moved on, found someone new, and only came back when fate literally threw us together. That's not fair." "Fair." Nenah's voice dropped to a deadly whisper. "You want to talk about fair? I gave birth alone. I spent 9 months terrified and broke and wondering if I'd be enough for this baby. I cried myself to sleep thinking about all the moments you were missing. And you were out there at charity galas with another woman, playing the role of perfect billionaire boyfriend. I'm sorry." He was crying now too. "God, Nenah, I'm so sorry. Sorry doesn't fix this. Sorry doesn't give me back the year you could have been here but chose not to be. So what do we do now?" Nenah looked at Maya, this perfect tiny human who deserved better than parents who couldn't get their lives together. "I don't know, Jasper. I honestly don't know. Please don't shut me out again. I can't lose you twice. Maybe you should have thought about that before you put a ring on someone else's finger." She hung up. For the second time in 2 years, Nenah Rodriguez sat alone in the dark holding her daughter and cried. Jasper showed up at her door the next morning. Nenah almost didn't open it. "I'm not here to make excuses," he said, when she finally let him in. He looked terrible, like he hadn't slept. "I'm here to tell you everything. The whole ugly truth? I don't want to hear it. I know, but you deserve it anyway." He sat on her couch, hands clasped between his knees. "When Marcus went to prison, I fell apart. The investigation had consumed 2 years of my life. I'd cut off everyone I cared about to keep them safe. When it was finally over, I didn't know how to be a person again." Nenah stood by the window, arms crossed, refusing to look at him. "My therapist said I was suffering from trauma, that I needed time to heal before I could have healthy relationships. So I threw myself into work, built the company bigger, made more money, pretended I was fine." His voice dropped. "Then my father got sick, cancer. He had 6 months to live, and all he wanted was to see me settled, happy, married." Nenah turned slightly. Victoria was his business partner's daughter. She was kind, intelligent, and she knew exactly what she was getting into. A marriage of convenience for both of us. Her family needed my investment. I needed to give my father peace before he died. Jasper's voice broke. He passed away 3 months ago. And suddenly, I was engaged to a woman I didn't love, living a life that felt like a cage. You still should have told me. You're right. I should have. He stood. I should have found you the day the case closed. I should have explained everything and begged you to forgive me. Instead, I was a coward who convinced himself you were better off without me. I was better off without you. I know." He moved closer. "You built an incredible life. You're an amazing mother. You're stronger than I ever gave you credit for. And you did it all without me, which proves you never needed me in the first place. Then why are you here? Because maybe it's not about need anymore. His eyes met hers. Maybe it's about want. Maybe it's about choosing to build something together instead of surviving alone. Nenah's phone rang. The hospital. Emergency. This is Nenah Rodriguez. Ms. Rodriguez, this is Dr. Hayes. I'm calling about your test results from Maya's birth. Her blood turned cold. What's wrong? We need you to come in immediately. There's something we need to discuss in person. The drive to the hospital was a blur. Jasper drove while Nenah held Maya, her heart pounding. Dr. Hayes met them in his office, his expression grave. During the routine newborn screening, we found some abnormalities, he said gently. Maya has a rare genetic heart condition. It's treatable, but she needs surgery. Nenah couldn't breathe. How serious? Without surgery, the condition will worsen. With surgery, she has an excellent prognosis. But it's expensive, even with insurance. How expensive? Dr. Hayes slid a paper across the desk. The number made Nenah's head spin. I can pay, Jasper said immediately. No, Nenah's voice was steel. I don't want your money. This isn't about us, Nenah. This is about Maya. Can take out loans. Set up a payment plan. That will take months. Maya doesn't have months. Jasper turned to Dr. Hayes. When can we schedule the surgery? Mr. Wellington, I appreciate the offer, but we need the legal guardian's consent. I'm her father, not according to the birth certificate. Dr. Hayes looked uncomfortable. Ms. Rodriguez listed the father as unknown. Jasper turned to Nenah, something raw and painful in his eyes. You left me off the birth certificate? You weren't there? Her voice was cold. You didn't earn the right to be on it. I'm here now. Our daughter needs surgery. Let me help. No. Stop being stubborn. Stop trying to buy your way back into our lives. Nenah stood, clutching Maya. You think writing a check fixes everything? You think money erases 2 years of abandonment? I think our daughter's life is more important than your pride. The words hung in the air like poison. Nenah's eyes blazed. Get out, Nenah. Please, get out. Jasper looked at Dr. Hayes, then back at Nenah. I'll wait outside. But I'm not leaving this hospital. Not while Maya needs help. After he left, Nenah crumpled into the chair. Dr. Hayes handed her a tissue. For what it's worth, he said quietly, he's been sitting in our waiting room for 3 weeks, every night, waiting to hear news about his assistant, but I think he was really waiting to hear about you. Nenah didn't respond. That night, she sat in Maya's hospital room, watching monitors beep and flash. The surgery was scheduled for the next day. She'd signed the forms, agreed to the payment plan that would bury her in debt for years, but Maya would live. That was all that mattered. A knock at the door. Jasper stood there, holding 2 cups of coffee. I'm not here to fight, he said. I'm just here to sit with you. If you'll let me. Nenah was too exhausted to argue. She took the coffee. They sat in silence for an hour. Then Nenah spoke. I'm scared. Me too. What if something goes wrong? It won't. You can't promise that. No, but I can promise I'll be here. No matter what happens tomorrow, no matter what you decide about us, I'll be here for Maya. He looked at her. And for you, if you'll let me. Nenah studied his face. The worry lines, the dark circles, the raw, desperate love in his eyes when he looked at their daughter. I want to hate you, she whispered. I know. I want to blame you for everything. Should, but I can't. Tears spilled down her cheeks. Because despite everything, despite the lies and the abandonment and the pain, part of me still loves you, and I hate myself for it. Jasper reached across the space between them and took her hand. She didn't pull away. I don't deserve your love, he said. I don't deserve a second chance. But I'm asking for one anyway. Not because I've earned it, but because Maya deserves to have both her parents fighting for her. Nenah looked at their joined hands. If we do this, if we try again, it's different this time. No secrets. No running. And you don't get to buy your way into her life. You earn it. Every single day I can do that. You add yourself to the birth certificate? Really? Really? She met his eyes. You're her father, Jasper. Time to start acting like it. He pulled her close, and she let herself lean into him. They sat like that until dawn. Two broken people, trying to piece together something whole. For the tiny life sleeping between them. The next morning, as they wheeled Maya into surgery, Jasper held Nenah's hand. And for the first time in 2 years, she didn't feel alone. The surgery took 6 hours. Nenah and Jasper sat in the waiting room. Not speaking, just existing in that terrible space where hope and fear collide. Other families came and went. Nurses checked on them. Time moved like honey, slow and thick. When Dr. Hayes finally emerged, both of them jumped to their feet. The surgery was successful, he said, and Nenah's knees buckled. Jasper caught her. Maya did beautifully. She's in recovery now. You can see her in about an hour, Nenah sobbed into Jasper's shoulder. His arms wrapped around her, holding her together while she fell apart. Thank you, she whispered into his chest. Thank you for being here, always, he said. From now on, always. 2 weeks later, Maya came home. The apartment filled with balloons and flowers, gifts from the hospital staff who'd fallen in love with the tiny fighter. Jasper was there every day. He learned to give Maya her medicine. He sang to her when she cried. He changed diapers and warmed bottles and walked circles around the apartment at 3 a.m. when nothing else would soothe her, and slowly. Carefully, Nenah let him back in, not all at once. Not with blind trust, but with small moments. Shared coffee in the morning. His hand on her back when she was stressed. The way he looked at Maya like she hung the moon. One evening, 3 months after the surgery, Jasper found Nenah on the fire escape, watching the city lights. Penny, for your thoughts? She smiled. Just thinking about how different life is now. It's better or worse? Different. She turned to face him. I still have bad days. Days where I remember how much you hurt me. Days where I wonder if I'm crazy for letting you back in. It's fair. But then I have good days. Days where I watch you with Maya and see the father you're becoming. Days where I remember why I fell in love with you in the first place. She took a breath. And I think maybe we're building something real this time. Something honest. Jasper pulled a small box from his pocket. Nenah's eyes widened. Wait. I'm not proposing, he said quickly. I know we're not there yet. Maybe we never will be. But I wanted you to have this. He opened the box. Inside was a delicate silver necklace with 2 pendants. One with Maya's birthstone, one with Nenah's. It's beautiful. It's a promise, Jasper said, fastening it around her neck. A promise that I'm here, that I'm not going anywhere, that whatever we become, whatever this relationship turns into, I'm committed to being the man you and Maya deserve. Nenah touched the pendants. No more secrets, no more secrets, no more running, no more running. She kissed him then, soft and sweet and full of possibility. 6 months later, Jasper sat in family court, legally establishing paternity and getting his name added to Maya's birth certificate. Nenah stood beside him, holding their daughter. Congratulations, the judge said. You're officially a father. Jasper looked at Maya, now 10 months old, grinning at him with 2 tiny teeth. I've been a father since the day she was born. This just makes it official. Outside the courthouse, Nenah's phone buzzed. A text from her landlord. Building being sold. All tenants need to vacate in 60 days. She showed Jasper. He read it, then looked at her carefully. Move in with me, Jasper, not as my girlfriend. Not as anything except Maya's mother. I have plenty of space. You can have your own room, your own life. But we'd be together, co-parenting properly, giving Maya a real home with both her parents. Nenah considered it. 6 months ago, she would have said no immediately. But now, watching him hold Maya with such natural affection, seeing how he'd kept every promise, showed up every single day, earned back her trust inch by painful inch. Separate bedrooms, she said finally. Separate bedrooms and I pay rent. Absolutely not. But you can buy groceries, deal. They moved in a month later. Jasper cleared out an entire wing of his penthouse for Nenah and Maya. He didn't push, didn't pressure, just existed alongside them, present and steady. Maya's first birthday came. They threw a party with both their families, friends from the hospital. Even Dr. Hayes and the nurses who'd helped save her life. Jasper gave a speech. A year ago, I didn't know this little girl existed. I was living half a life, pretending I was fine, running from the best thing that ever happened to me. He looked at Nenah. Then fate put me in a hospital corridor at exactly the right moment, and I got a second chance I didn't deserve. He picked up Maya, who grabbed his nose and giggled. Being your father has been the greatest privilege of my life, and earning your mother's forgiveness has been the hardest thing I've ever done. But it's been worth it. Every difficult conversation, every moment of doubt, every step forward and 2 steps back. Because now, I get to be part of this. Part of your life, part of something real. Nenah's eyes filled with tears. That night, after the guests left and Maya was asleep, Nenah found Jasper on the balcony. "Thank you," she said. "For what?" "For not giving up. For fighting for us. For becoming the man I always hoped you could be." He pulled her close. "I love you, Nenah Rodriguez. I've loved you since the night we met. I loved you when I left. I loved you when I was too scared to come back. And I'll love you for the rest of my life, whether you love me back or not." "I do love you," she whispered. "It scares me how much I love you." "Then be scared with me. We'll figure it out together." They stood there, watching the city lights. 2 people who'd been shattered and somehow found a way to put the pieces back together, not perfectly. Not without scars, but whole enough to try again. 5 years later, Jasper and Nenah stood in another courthouse. This time, for their wedding. It was small, intimate, just family and close friends. Maya, now 6, stood between them in a flower girl dress. Holding both their hands, "I told you Daddy would marry Mommy," she whispered loudly during the ceremony, making everyone laugh. After they exchanged vows, the judge smiled. "You may kiss your bride." Asprey looked at Nenah. This woman who'd forgiven him, fought with him. Built a life alongside him despite every reason not to. "Love you," he said. "I know," she replied, grinning. "Now kiss me before Maya gets bored." He did. And as they walked out of that courthouse as a family, legally and officially bound together, Nenah thought about the night in the hospital when her world had been pain and fear and shock. She'd thought it was ending, but it had been a beginning all along. Sometimes fate doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you need. And if you're brave enough to forgive, strong enough to heal, and willing enough to try, you might find that the broken pieces fit together better the second time around. Not perfect, but real, and real. Nenah had learned was worth everything. The end.